You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KNBR, and today, the Golden State Warriors watched another massive second-half lead evaporate as the Sacramento Kings emerged victorious tonight, 123-117. 8 turnovers by the Warriors, mostly self-inflicted, allow the Kings to storm back from a 17-point deficit in that third quarter, and all 8 of those turnovers in that third quarter, for the most part, were very, very, very avoidable. And DeMar DeRozan just could not be stopped on offense in the second half. And the Warriors lost, complete control of the game as a result. But are you really surprised that they couldn't close out this game? This is pretty much what we've come to expect from this team, especially lately without Jonathan Kuminga. But if you are looking for some positives from tonight, we can talk about Guy Santos and Quentin Post a little bit later on. But first, we got to get all of this like decompression in another, rivalry loss to the Sacramento Kings. And we'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you tuning in and making us your first listen following these Warriors games. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Today's episode is sponsored by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And in this first half, the Warriors were playing great basketball. Shooting the lights out from the field and really from the three-point line too. They were over 50% from three, made 14 three-pointers in that first half. And in that third quarter, along with those 8 turnovers, you had the Warriors just not able to buy a bucket from beyond the arc. And it was, one three-pointer for the Warriors in the entire third quarter. It was just not going in. The Kings, again, conversely, shot 58% from the field in that third quarter, had a ton of points off turnovers and transition buckets. The Warriors just got run out of the gym in the second half. And it was nice to see, some fun moments from like Guy Santos and Quentin Post in this one. But ultimately, Dennis Schroeder with his 5 turnovers is just absolutely inexcusable. This guy had 2 less turnovers than he did points in the game. That's absolutely atrocious. He had just as many assists as he did turnovers. A 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is pretty damn bad last time I checked. So Schroeder just continues to look like a disaster in this Warriors offense. He'll have a game every now and again that makes you want to believe that he's going to fit and figure it out, and then he just does this kind of stuff. And it's just a disaster, man. I don't know how much longer you can keep doing this with Schroeder. He came off the bench tonight because he's kind of fallen out of the rotation a little bit. But the Warriors, shorthanded without Draymond Green, they need everybody that they can get. And quite frankly, you don't really have anyone else to turn to try and score. But tonight, it was just kind of like a vibe check for the Warriors. I was texting a few different people throughout the game, including my friend Jordan, who chimed in and said early on, he was like, the Warriors are playing pretty well, but, he said, quote, Warriors looking good, better not blow it. But, my response to him was they will certainly let the Kings back into this one in the second half, because this is just the team that we know and love. And of all people to text me, my mom chimes in and says, I don't want to jinx it, but the Warriors aren't losing. And then she put parentheses yet. And then about 20 minutes later, she texts me saying, oops. And that's just kind of how this Warriors season has gone, man. This entire second half, woes that the Warriors have had closing out games. They lost the third quarter 37-20. They lost the fourth quarter 38-32. They've just been really getting dominated at the ends of games. It has a lot to do with the fact that this team needs, so much from Stephen Curry. And then, you have teams throwing just the entire kitchen sink at him in the second half of this game. Steph Curry, I felt like every time he touched the ball beyond half court, he had 2 defenders just sprinting towards him at any given point in time. And he did a really good job passing out of those double teams in the first half. Not a very good job of doing it in the second half. The Warriors couldn't swing the ball around the perimeter on these double teams and couldn't find, there were open Warriors standing in the corner all night long. Guy Santos was having a night, man, especially from deep. You talk about a guy who was actually hitting the three-point shot for the Warriors. Guy Santos 4 of 5, and Buddy Hield as well, 5 of 9 for Buddy tonight from three-point land. those guys were open a lot in tonight's game. You just couldn't get the ball to them in the second half. And they were able to hit those shots in the first half. They were able to find that rotation on offense. It was flowing like water, as we like to say, but it was not doing that in the second half at all. The Warriors just really grinding to a halt. This offense just not looking very good at all. In those turnovers, man, a lot of them just on ball turnovers, like just dribbling and like dropping the ball in front of you, but really the main thing that bugs me about these turnovers is the one-handed passes and full court heaves. I mean, I do not know for the life of me why the Warriors continue to try to play this brand of basketball. First of all, you don't have the ability to kind of make up for these turnovers anymore. They've always been, Steph's always been like a 3-ish turnover a game, 4-ish turnover a game kind of guy. But in the past, you've had Klay Thompson, you've had Kevin Durant, you've had all these other guys to make up for those turnovers, to shoot your way out of these problems. And the Warriors just can't do that anymore. You don't have that luxury. And furthermore, because you don't have guys like Kevin Durant, like an Andre Iguodala, like a Klay Thompson, you don't really have anyone on this team that you can trust to make the right decision with the ball when you throw it ahead, like full court pass. You really think that Buddy Hield is going to make the right choice on a one-on-one fast break if Steph throws him a full court heave? No, I fully expect Buddy Hield to dribble the ball off his foot out of bounds and fall down in the process. I don't know why, for the life of me, the Warriors keep trying to do this. They don't have the personnel to play this type of basketball that they want to fall back into. And I get that it's what they've done for years and years and years. It's what they built the championships out of. But this team doesn't have the same metal that those teams did. It's just not the same. You got to play to your personnel, and KYP, know your personnel. And that goes for the opponent and for your team. And the Warriors playing like they don't know their own personnel. I mean, it's a small team that can't shoot. So that's a problem, first and foremost, because if you're a small team that can't shoot in the NBA, you're not going to win very many games. It kind of shocks me that the Warriors haven't really fallen off the cliff yet, to be totally honest, at this point in the season. I think that you just kind of have to hope that once Kuminga comes back, everyone else can kind of continue to pitch in, punch above their weight. You had a career high in points tonight from Guy Santos. You had a career high in minutes tonight from Quentin Post. You had Moses Moody dropping in 3 3-pointers. You had Buddy Hield going 5 and 9 from deep, and you still lose. You had all these guys. You had Wiggins with 25. You still lose. It's Steph, off night. We got to talk about it. Steph, only 14 points tonight on 6 of 11, 1 of 4 from three-point land. He just didn't really have the shot going, but he had 12 assists tonight. And again, it's not his fault. I mean, Steph the entire night is just getting hounded by 2 to 3 defenders at a time, and he's having to pass out of these double teams. And these zones, man, the Kings went to a 2-3 zone in the second half in this one at certain points, and the Warriors didn't have an answer. They don't have the shooters to space the floor and shoot their way out of these zones, to bust those zones, and it's proven to be a problem for them. And they definitely don't have the size on the interior to kind of bully on the block. I mean, you can't really do that with TJD, even though he did have another nice night with 11 points and 8 boards, 3 offensive rebounds, but it's just not enough. It's absolutely not enough. Overall, the Warriors just didn't have anything in the tank at the end of this one, and the Kings going on a big run at the end of this game. It was 10-0, 13-0, something like that, starting with just under 4 minutes left in the fourth, and that was pretty much the dagger in this one. And I mean, you can say that was the difference in this game, but really the difference was those 8 turnovers in the third quarter, and the Warriors allowing almost every time they turned the ball over, they allowed a score off of that turnover. The defense was not able to get back. It's tough to play defense off a turnover, but there was one in particular that stands out to me in that third quarter where DeMar DeRozan picks up the ball, and he's the last person after the turnover across half court, but no one picks up the ball. No one stops the ball. He just, dribbles all the way to the bucket and just lays it in. And I mean, how are you going to give that shot to DeMar DeRozan, man? That's just a guaranteed bucket. And that guy was actually, shooting from 3 really well tonight as well, too, which is not usually his game. DeMar DeRozan, 3 of 6 from 3-point land, but 12 of 21 from the field. That's normally what you see from him, a volume scorer, 32 points for DeMar DeRozan, and did a lot of that work in that, in between zone, that mid-range game that he just really loves. Can't let him get to the spot. You got to beat him to the spot, and the Warriors weren't able to do that. Also worth mentioning, Sabonis, man. This guy is a walking double-double machine. 26 points, 18 rebounds. I mean, it's not that impressive of an 18 rebounds to me because the Warriors, I mean, you're running out TJD and Quentin Post. No, Kevon Looney played 9 minutes while he was sick tonight, did not return in the second half. And, the Warriors aren't very tough inside. So, I mean, 18 rebounds is 18 rebounds, you know what I mean? But you still got to find a way to kind of hold your own on the interior. And I mean, there were a couple fun moments. This game did have some juice to it. It felt like a little bit like a rivalry game. I mean, it is the NBA rivalry week and all that kind of stuff. So how about it? Like, do you guys feel like this is a legitimate rivalry at this point between the Kings and the Warriors? I mean, obviously the Warriors' kind of main rival, Steph Curry's main adversary throughout his career, has been LeBron James. And that's because of all the finals matchups. Those two will forever be linked. But right now, I kind of feel like it's shifting. The momentum is towards this like Kings-Warriors rivalry. Like, these Kings fans are so damn bitter, man. On the ESPN broadcast, I saw a Kings fan saying that, this isn't a rivalry anymore because, we bounced the Warriors out of the playoffs last time, so this isn't a rivalry anymore. It's like, all right, man, win something, and then maybe start talking. But Sacramento hasn't won anything ever, so there is that. But I mean, tonight, I guess they did win tonight. 123-117 over the Warriors. But I mean, this game, it was fun, at least. It was entertaining, and let's talk about some of that. Like, does this rivalry have the juice, in your opinion? And I'll give you mine on the other side of the Locked On Warriors postcast. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is sponsored by Gametime. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a Dead & Company concert last year at the Sphere, and man, the energy, the excitement, the vibes, the particles, unforgettable. And now Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Recently, I was looking at tickets for an upcoming Dubs game using the Gametime app, and with Gametime Picks, I found amazing deals and could see the view from my seat before buying. The super deal was particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and I'm just checking the chat. Andrew the GOAT, one of our everydayers, chimes in and says the Kings only won this game because of the refs tonight. And that is something I just neglected entirely to talk about in that opening segment. But the free throw differential tonight, man, was astronomical. I mean, the Warriors only shot 13 of them, and the Kings shot 32. But you know what? The Kings made 30 of those 32 free throws. That's pretty damn impressive, considering the Warriors made 9 of their 13 free throws. I mean, the Warriors just not a very good free throw shooting team this year. They're below 70% again tonight. But the total number of fouls, like Kings called for 14 and the Warriors called for 27, man. That is an insane foul differential. And it was just really inconsistent all night long. It was like sometimes they'd be letting them play. There was like a play on the baseline where DeMar DeRozan came up with like a loose ball. He kind of got upended by a Warriors player in the post, and his feet left the ground. And so it's either a travel or it's a blocking foul, but it's not nothing. And they just ended up calling it like out of bounds on DeMar DeRozan as he rolled out of bounds on the play, like kind of looking bewildered at the ref. And it's just like, what is going on, man? So, I mean, the officiating tonight, as it has been all season long, was very skeptical. And I mean, I'm so sick and tired of talking about NBA officiating being a problem, man, because it's just, I don't even know what is a foul and what isn't anymore. Like half the time, I mean, it's cut and dry what it's supposed to be, but it's not officiated that way, man. And it's confusing trying to decipher an NBA game at this point. Like it's boggles my brain trying to figure out why certain things are called and certain things aren't. And tonight, it definitely was not in the Warriors' favor. I mean, even if those free throws had leveled out just a little bit, the Warriors maybe win this game. I mean, that's a big pivot point in this one for the Dubs. So my guy Andrew the GOAT pointing out the obvious. He also said the Kings cheated tonight, so I wouldn't take it that far. I don't think there was any Donaghy action going on out there. But moving on into the chat, amazing quality control. LTD says, and tomorrow Steph will not play on the back-to-back. Does not look good. And yeah, that's very true, man. Like Steph, we know he's only playing one of these two games in the back-to-backs. He's kind of ping-pong between whether he was playing the second game or the first game. And remember, you still have no Draymond Green for the time being. You have no Jonathan Kuminga for the time being. You kind of like, this game was there for the taking. And with the Warriors schedule coming up, you need every single win you can get. Now you get another, team that's in playoff contention, the Chicago Bulls. Granted, it's, the Eastern Conference and the bottom half of that playoff bracket, so not quite the same as the Western Conference playoff bracket, but the playoff team nonetheless. But you're facing them on a back-to-back, and it's tough to win against any team in the NBA in a back-to-back. So you're looking at maybe starting this California homestand on a 1-3 start, which is not what you had in mind. You were really hoping that you could kind of go, at least split this 9-game series that the Warriors have, all 9 in California. 8 of those at home at Chase Center. But so far, you only have one win in these three games, and you got a 40-point blowout loss to the Celtics in their last time out. The Warriors just don't look very good right now, and there's a lot of issues with this team. But we did talk about how this rivalry is kind of budgeting in this 2025 season, 2024-2025 season. It's been building up for a while, man. A couple of years ago, a couple seasons ago, I went down to Golden One Center to go see the Warriors Kings in a playoff game, and that was fun, man. Like, I got a lot of it from Kings fans. I mean, I wore the Draymond Green gamer, so I was kind of poking the bear on that one, but it was still pretty fun, man. Like, it was sparring back and forth with some of the Kings fans there. Got a little vulgar, a little wild with some of them. This guy in a Rondo jersey was, really unhappy with me, but it was, and he was unhappy with my Draymond Green jersey, which I thought was really comical considering he was wearing a Rondo Kings jersey of anything, but I digress. Anyways, that rivalry, it was heated. It had juice. Like, I felt it just walking around. Like, people did not want to see a dude in a Dubs jersey at Golden One Center. And, the Kings fans just really hate the Warriors, man. Like, listening to that damn cowbell constantly tonight, ding, 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 like, just the most annoying thing in the world. I grew up in the North Bay area in California, and a lot of teams that I played against in youth sports, like, a lot of our opponents and rivals would have those same damn cowbells in the stands. It brings back like a PTSD memory for me in a way. But man, it's just so you can feel the palpable passion from those Kings fans just screaming. I mean, in that third quarter, I felt like that was a big component of this game because you really felt that momentum kind of shift. Like, the Warriors had that momentum entirely going into half. Buddy Hield with that 3-pointer right before halftime and give him the weirdest dance in the world on the way to the locker room. But if the moment strikes you, just, I don't know, whatever Buddy was doing out there, just hanging out and vibing, but weird dance, my guy. But anyways, they had all the momentum going into that second half. They looked like they were playing with fun, with joy, and again, hitting their 3-point shots and not turning the ball over. And then in that, that second half, the start of the third quarter, the Warriors just, fouls and turning the ball over constantly. And the Kings fans just, took over. Like, there was so much momentum because that crowd was just waiting to erupt, man. And they pounced on the Warriors like a tiger on some prey, dude. Like, they were ready to go. And the Warriors just could not drag themselves off the mat and fight back. Like, they got punched with the haymaker, and they sat there shocked and couldn't respond. And this is something that we've talked about all season long. The Warriors just don't have it in them to kind of hang tough in these close games when they're taking those shots. And when teams are just taking Steph out of the game. I mean, that was the Kings' entire defensive strategy, was just don't let Steph shoot a 3 in this fourth quarter. I mean, he barely was able to score at all in the second half just because he wasn't really able to get any shots up, and because the defense was so suffocating, and none of the other Warriors were able to come and help him out. And I mean, even at the end of the game, you saw Steph kind of like having to direct traffic, like waving Buddy Hield off. And it just feels like this team doesn't really know where to be on the floor, how to help this offense, like how to help Steph maximize what he does. And it's a personnel problem. We talked about it on our last show. This team just isn't very good, man. At the end of the day, Steph said it last year, and it still remains true this year. This team's painfully average. As Steph, Draymond, and Steve Kerr all at the same time basically said, this team doesn't have what it takes to get to the postseason. Even if they kind of make a big trade, a big splashy trade, and mortgage the future, it's not really going to be enough to move the needle enough to make it worth it. Maybe it makes you a competitive 7 seed. Ooh, that's exciting. I don't think that's really getting it done for Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, and Steph and their 4 rings that they currently have. I don't think that they're looking for some, a competitive 7th seed kind of vibe. So I get it, man, but it just makes for a very frustrating and tough, next couple of years probably. And it kind of gives this opportunity for this Sacramento Kings rivalry to kind of blow up, and for the Kings, the little brother Kings, to kind of take the lead on this and start, being the one who dominates the Warriors. And the second half felt very much like the play-in game that the Kings ended the Warriors season on. And it just, man, it was not a fun vibe for the Warriors tonight. So they fall to the Sacramento Kings 123-117. You start your California slash homestand where, you have this one game in Sacramento over between these last couple and in the next few. So a total of 9 games that the Warriors play in California, and you start at 1-3. That's not very good. Or 1-2, looking at starting at 1-3 if you lose the back-to-back tomorrow to the Chicago Bulls, which is very likely considering the Warriors aren't going to have Steph Curry, aren't going to have Kuminga, and aren't going to have Draymond Green either. So this team, not very good, man. Not very good. But there was some positives tonight, and we always like to try and find some silver linings on the show. You know what I mean? So let's talk about it. On the other side, Quinton Post and Guy Santos. We got to shine a little bit of light on the young guys, on the former Santa Cruz Warriors, called up to the bigs and delivering, giving some good minutes tonight. Quinton Post a career high minutes, and Guy Santos a career high in points. Got to give some props to the other guys on the other side of the Locked On Warriors postcast. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Warriors lose 123-117 to the Kings, despite having a 17-point lead going into the third quarter. Just 8 turnovers in that third quarter really sink them. Dennis Schroeder with 5 turnovers on his own. Tons of throw-ahead, full-court passes that you just don't need to force. You just don't need to make, in tons of just live ball turnovers. You're just dribbling the ball and letting the defender just rip it away from you. Just garbage basketball for the Warriors. But we got to talk about some bright spots. We can't just be down in the dumps all the time about this team. It is very frustrating. But if we're going to keep ourselves sane at all, any sense of sanity over these next couple of years, we got to find guys on this team to root for, things that we can, maybe build some positive particles out of. And 2 of those guys, guy who just emanates positive particles, Guy Santos, man. This guy just always has a smile on his face, runs 100 million miles an hour on the court at all times. This guy does not know how to give anything less than his maximum effort every single time. He got 5 rebounds tonight, 2 assists. He had 16 points. He probably had 4 miles ran on the court. This guy just hustles, and I love his game. And he has really worked on building his body and getting up to a point where he can be a legitimate NBA player. And the Warriors drafted him a couple of years ago as a major product out of Brazil. And this guy has really delivered for the Warriors in recent weeks. He has been a huge momentum filler. He's not Draymond Green, and he's not ever going to be that type of defender, but that intensity, that effort that he gives in those 50-50 plays, it's very Draymond-esque in the grit and grind and hustle aspect that he gives to this team. And it's infectious, man. It spreads throughout this whole team. It spreads in, when GP2 is feeling it, he is he's kind of playing off that same kind of vibe too, and so is everyone else on this team. And I just love just the smile of Guy Santos, man. Just the pearly whites. With the hair, the curly hair, and wearing number 15. And obviously he's doing that as a nod to his guy Anderson Varejao wearing that number 15. But it is, fellow countrymen. But it's so fun to watch this guy out there with the hair flowing everywhere and bouncing around, and he's just having a great time, man. And I love watching guys play any sport, but especially basketball like that. Like basketball can just be the most freeing, like play freely type, like, with your heart kind of game. And like, this is just so fun to watch Guy Santos have success playing this brand of basketball after the Warriors took a chance on him, frankly, because I don't think anyone else was going to pick him in that draft. So shout out Guy Santos for really making it work in the NBA and sticking it out. And his fellow Santa Cruz Warrior, former Santa Cruz Warrior, Quentin Post, we also got to give some shine to the big 7-footer. That's right, the Warriors giving a 7-footer 15 minutes in a game. Oh my God, are we back to like Adonal Foyle years? Like, what is happening? Andres Biedrich is we got the Andres Biedrich bobblehead on the podcast. Every time we get a mention of him, we got to bring him up. But is this like 2020 or 2002? Like, what is going on? The Warriors somehow managing to like get a big in the game with Steve Kerr still as the head coach. Like, my mind is absolutely blown. Please, for the love of God, go get a big man, because even though it's Quentin Post, the 52nd pick of last year's NBA draft, a guy who is not expected to really contribute in any meaningful way this season at all. He can shoot some threes and he's got some size. You saw him get a block tonight, but like, this guy is so green. He's so raw, but you saw in those minutes kind of what he did with that defense and with that spacing. And, you look at the box score, the plus minus isn't very great. He had -10, plus minus tonight. Same with Lindy Waters, tied for the worst on the team. But in the Quentin Post minutes, I did kind of like what we saw from him, not necessarily what we saw from the rest of the Warriors in those minutes, but the shots will start to fall, and Quentin Post only 1 of 4 from 3-point land. We know this guy can score. I'm not really worried about his scoring in 2 of 5 from the field kind of thing. Like, those numbers are going to get better. This guy's a natural shooter. We have seen him have multiple 30-point games with the Santa Cruz Warriors. We know that this guy can score. That's not a question, but it's the effort on the post. He grabbed an offensive rebound while he was out there. He had 6 boards in his 15 minutes, and he just changed the way that the Kings were playing on the interior. Like, he slowed down Sabonis just a little bit, and the Warriors just need size, man. Like, this guy's not even like a legitimate, NBA center who's like gonna get any meaningful run, and he's still changing the game like tangibly when he's in the game. Could you imagine if the Warriors had like we can dream right here on the Locked On Warriors postcast? We can dream. What if they had like a Miles Turner? Oh my God, this team would just be revolutionized. It would be amazing. We're going to see another 7-footer coming to town tomorrow, Vucevic for the Bulls. And that's a guy who a lot of Warriors fans have clamored for the Dubs to trade for. I actually think that would be a phenomenal trade if the Warriors were able to do it. I just don't know why the Bulls would actually, like, what are the Warriors going to give the Bulls that's going to make them give it up? Like, are the Warriors going to actually part ways with Kuminga and picks? I don't think so. So, I don't think the Bulls do it for anything less than that. So, I don't think that trade's going to get done, although I would love to see Vucevic here in Golden State. Playing next to Steph Curry, that would be an absolutely deadly pick and roll. That would be so fun to watch, but it's just goes to show you that the Warriors just need this size. And Quentin Post, maybe if he can figure it out, it'll give the Warriors some kind of a lift in the second half of the season, kind of like TJD did last year for the Warriors on the interior. Only difference is that Quentin Post is actually, a legitimate 7-footer. And unfortunately, our guy TJD, though we love him, is not a legitimate 7-footer. But with those bunnies, man, TJD can just jump out of the building for how big that guy is. It's pretty crazy. And TJD had some fun moments tonight, man. Like that got fouled on like a reverse layup attempt down low, and somehow like the ball like fell out of his hands, and he like grabbed it and like somehow was able to get like this last second crazy angle layup up, and it somehow went in. Just absolutely nuts circus shot. And just some fun moments from the game for TJD, blowing up DeMar DeRozan down underneath the basket, just putting the shoulder down, driving right through him, and then going up for the dunk. TJD had some fun moments again tonight, but CJD, that can't be it. You can't just rely on some fun moments from your second round, centers that you picked in the last 2 drafts to like lead your team on the interior. That's just not enough focus on that, aspect of the game for the Warriors. I just would love to see this team make a concerted effort to get bigger, to have more size in this offseason. That would be the best thing I think the Dubs can do for themselves and for Stephen Curry going forward. Also, before we get out of here, I just want to mention the Malik Monk reverse slam dunk in transition where he dunked it on his own head in that second quarter and it bounced back out. Didn't count as a bucket. And It's a bummer that the Kings won tonight, but how funny would it be if the Kings lost by like 1 or 2 points? We could go back to this as like the reason that the Kings lost the game. I was really hoping for that all night long, but alas, we did not get it. But still pretty funny. Malik Monk, just insane, like just like if you ever played 2K back in the day, you had like the microwave guys who had like the microwave ability, like James Harden and all that. Malik Monk is just a microwave, man. Jamal Crawford-esque, like this guy can just score at any given time. But, hey, the only thing that can stop Malik Monk is apparently Malik Monk's own dome when he tries to throw down the reverse slam in transition. So I'm pretty sure when Bill Walton yelled, "Throw it down, young fella," he did not mean onto your own head. But I digress. Kings still win 123-117, even though Malik Monk loses a little bit of his dignity in the process. But the Warriors, I'm sure, would rather have the win than that shred of Malik Monk's dignity. Warriors continue to trudge on as the season keeps rolling. They play tomorrow. No time to rest. Drive back to the Bay tonight and get ready for the Bulls playing in the back-to-back. And we'll see if the Warriors can avoid going 1-3 to start this California stretch of 9 games in the Golden State. It's all the time we got for you guys today here on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you tomorrow after the after the Warriors Bulls game. I'm melding my words here. Warriors Bulls game tomorrow. We'll come to you live after, as we always do on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.